Hey, I'm Brian McGrath with Imagine Indiana. Thanks for joining us. Today we have Rehan Hasan from Kenzie Academy. He's the co-founder and COO of the company, and he's going to tell us all about their work. Welcome to Indianapolis.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
So we're going to start real basic. Tell us about what Kenzie Academy is. Why are you a co-founder of it? What's it doing?
Sure. Well, Kenzie Academy is a software computer programming school. We're different from boot camps and the coding schools out there. We're an apprenticeship school. And we're just so happy to have our flagship and our first campus here in Indianapolis. How we came to be here is that Chuck and I, and Chuck is my co-founder, Chuck Oy, and we longtime friends and often confide in each other and talk about what's going on in our lives. And Chuck had just gotten back from Africa and had toured a company called Andela, which is doing some wonderful work in Africa around training raw talent for software development jobs and positions around the world. It got very popular because Mark Zuckerberg visited and had an investment. And it's kind of made it top of mind for everybody. And I think that was wonderful because it shined a light on the good things that they're doing. And in our country here, I mean, there's so much emphasis on outsourcing. But what about the talent that we have here? And really the genesis of Kenzie was how do we bridge opportunities gaps? How do we get more diversity in technology and therefore entrepreneurship? And how do we do it where we really need it? From a U.S. nationalistic standpoint. Being American, it's very important to us. And everyone concentrates on the coast. It's New York, San Francisco, New York, San Francisco.
Right. Yeah. Why Indianapolis? I mean, of all places in the U.S. I mean, why here?
That's a great question. We were looking at the Midwest and really targeting the Midwest because all the data that we've been looking at, all the trends that we've been a part of in technology have all been pointing to tech jobs emerging and being created in the Midwest. Steve Case has been beating his drum for a very long time, and his tours through the Midwest has really accentuated that point. And there was one data point that really resonated with me, which was there are 4,400 unfilled tech jobs in Indiana, 2,200 of them which are in Indianapolis. And that number is probably a little bit out of date at this point. This was, about a year and a half ago. But it really made the point that jobs were being created, but there wasn't the talent to fill them. And technology moves so quickly, that's not a commentary on what anybody is doing. It's just about honing in on what is the need. And Indianapolis has so many great things going on. When I launched my previous company, in Colorado, Denver was at a point where it was percolating. There was a density of creativity and entrepreneurship, but it was very disparate. There wasn't anything kind of bringing it all together, and that's what we were looking to do there. I saw a lot of the same kind of indicators and kind of the wins in the air here in Indianapolis. And that's more about, the community here has done a wonderful job, especially with the redevelopment of downtown, with the companies coming in to Indianapolis. You've got a mayor's office and a governor's office, oh my goodness, who are so pro, let's not just create jobs, let's create the right jobs and the jobs that are gonna be, here to stay. And technology is right there. I mean, in lots of ways, every job is a tech job, right? Because we use computers for everything. So what we're really talking about for us is, those, whether it's a software engineer or UX designers or your coders for, a bit more of a slang. How do we supply those who are going to be building those computer infrastructures and products for the companies here in Indianapolis? And we just saw so much good stuff going on here in Indianapolis from a tech community standpoint, and all the ingredients are here. And I think we came at a wonderful time when there's just so much momentum moving forward. So it was an easy decision for us.
Now, a lot of people, when you hear tech job, you think, okay, I'm going to be wired into a computer, the rest of my life and coding, whatever that means. But tech's got to be more than that. I mean, describe what a tech job of the future looks like.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think where does our imagination take us? to my earlier point, every job is a tech job these days, just because computers are such a large part of our lives. I continue to be amazed. There was a quote that there's more computing in our cell phones than there was on the first manned missions to the moon.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just literally in our pocket. To have you know, a library of the world's music in your back pocket is an astonishing idea. And I think similarly, those were all imagined at some point, give or take a couple of Star Trek episodes in between. And I think the same thing with companies and technologies of the future. Gosh, you see what Tesla is doing, or even just what Elon Musk is doing with SpaceX, right? I mean, really pushing those boundaries. You've got great companies here doing the same thing. Whether it's a company that is completely online or not, or completely, you know, consumer facing or not, or maybe it's just back end systems. I think we have so many, even in the public sector, you know, so many enterprise systems that will either get updated or need to be completely, you know, overhauled. Mm-hmm. Every industry, every, you know, company has technology needs, mm-hmm. and so that tech job can very much be what we imagine, which is, you know, you've got coders in a room, you know, lots of ampersands and dollar signs and forward slashes and doing all this stuff. By the way, I say that with a smile on my face because I'm in the unique position of having founded 2 coding schools now, 2 software coding schools, and I don't know how to code. And so I take great pride in that.
Sort of ironic.
And so it's like, if I could do that, anybody could do anything. But it really is, you know, if you take a look at where Indianapolis has been and where it's going, which is so exciting, and just over the last 2 years, you know, the number of companies that have come on in and the types of jobs that are opening up. Yeah, there's going to be positions for coders, but you know what? There's going to be a lot of positions for project managers and sales, and maybe that user experience piece, which is, you know, how does the consumer, the human being, interface and interact with the computer? So I think let's see where we can imagine it, right? And that's where we'll end up.
Now, you guys are fairly new to Indianapolis, but
Yes.
I know you're already expanding, and you've just had a very successful round of investments, I know. And I mean, where do you think, what does the future look like for Kenzie in Indianapolis? Are you going to branch out to other cities in Indiana, or is it,
Sure.
What's the plan?
Sure.
To much as you can tell us.
You know, we're coming into Indy, and it's been nothing but a warm embrace. There's always an outstretched hand to shake it. There's always somebody to say, we're so happy you're here, you know. We've felt so welcome. And I'll say that from the folks that we partner up with, all the way to the governor's office. The governor himself came in and did our opening. And he was really, really gracious and spent time with us and really took some time to understand what we were doing. The deputy mayor came as well. And I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. You don't get that, you know, in a San Francisco, New York, right. LA, you know, some of these other places. And it continued to prove up to us what we suspected, that not only is there a need for this, but you know, here's a community that's going to really embrace this. And the neat part of all of this is my co-founder immigrated from Malaysia. And when he immigrated from Malaysia, he did not stop in Chicago, New York, LA, San Francisco. He came to Indianapolis. And so he started at IUPUI. And so for him, there's a little bit of a full circle, you know, kind of homecoming there. And you know, there was a lot of reassurances from us that it's going to be great in Indy because everyone's so nice, you know, it's going to be wonderful. And that's certainly been the case.
Thanks for coming in and sharing that story with us. I think it's something that people need to know about. And like I said, a great asset to what the state's trying to do. So thank you. And I'm Brian with Imagine Indiana. Thanks for joining us.